Hello everyone, Karen Glasser here, and welcome to Connecting People, Changing Lives. And today, Nancy Ferrari and I, we are connecting with people in our network, people in the world actually, all over the place. And I am so excited to be here, and I want to throw it back over to Nancy. Nancy, how are you this morning?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm so excited. This was something that we just kind of popped up into our mind, but let's invite others to talk about topics that are of interest not only to us, but we know they're of interest to many others. And I just have and Karen, you and I have discussed this, we've been really feeling the energy of the country about our freedom of expression, and the fact that we just celebrated, the 4th of July or Independence Day, and that I just feel that this was such a right for me to have the freedom of speech. I was born in Canada and moved to Los Angeles when I was only 7.5, so I had to learn all that, what America is about, and I really appreciated it. And before we open up the dialogue, I just wanted to share that my generation, that being the baby boomer generation, I love being a baby boomer, but what I didn't like as a child was that children should be seen and not heard. And being the rebellious one that I was, I let my voice be heard, and then marched off to the principal's office. So, and that can have an effect, and that's why Karen and I put the subtitle to What's Holding You Back. And so often we don't realize what is holding us back. All of a sudden you've got the opportunity to speak to people, and you think, oh my gosh, I'm saying something wrong. What are they thinking? Am I going to be ostracized from the community for speaking my mind about a topic? And we have this freedom in our country, but we also have that personal freedom of expression. And that was my motivation for starting my radio show 5 years ago, to finally let my voice be heard, share my input, but also share it with others. So Karen, what say you about freedom?
Well, it's interesting. When we first decided to do this topic and what's holding us back and our freedom of expression, I love the idea that any of us can just push a button and get our message out there online on the internet. Right, Adrian? Is that cool? I mean, the fact that we can do this and do it in a way that we weren't even thinking about this, maybe 10 years at this point, but it's been a while. But we can just do this, and I can't wait to hear what Adrian has to say, and especially what Cheryl has to say also, because visibility is so important. Rick, I'm looking forward to what you have to say as well, and Sheila, we've got some amazing people here on the call. And so the question that we want to ask you all is, number one, what is your thought on freedom of expression, and then specifically what's holding you back? So is there somebody who wants to go first? So you to go, pick me, you can just start talking.
Sure. I'll go first.
Okay, Cheryl, go.
Cheryl.
Yeah. My thought really is that with freedom of expression comes responsibility. And I say that because I'm really grateful to be in a country that we can express how we feel. But I think that, as in anything, many times what happens is that particular thing of beauty gets it just kind of contorted. I mean, it just gets to where it's not as meaningful anymore, because pretty soon people forget that what they express sometimes can be very damaging. And so I think there's responsibility for the outcome of what you intend, to say, and how you intend it to really benefit the universe.
Mm-hmm. That's a great concept, responsibility. In fact, thank you, Cheryl, for bringing that up. Rick, what do you think about that? What's your definition of freedom of expression, or what does that mean to you, at least?
Well, to me, it means being able to say and do what you want, but you're not free from the repercussions of what you say and do.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So people now are doing things to the American flag, and that's not freedom of expression. That's just ugly.
Right, right. And obviously we're not, this show is, this particular hangout is not meant to be political in any way, shape, or form. It's the idea of I love this, guys. We're on a great track, taking responsibility. Adryenn, what say you?
I have a very deep opinion of freedom of speech and freedom of expression. I own a website called yelp-sucks.com, and I have since 2008, since I got deleted off of Yelp, and they claimed I was a spammer, although they could not prove anything. They said I was review trading, which I wasn't. They finally admitted I wasn't. I didn't do anything wrong. I had still been deleted. And they deleted a bunch of people. And what they didn't do, and what they still haven't done, is they allow people to hide behind freedom of speech in order to attack other people. And that was not what our constitutional right was meant to defend. It was meant to be a protection for the people when they want to speak out against the government and they are afraid that they're going to get hauled off to jail or disappeared or whatever because they're speaking out. That's what our constitutional right was for. It was not to say that bakery has roaches. That's not what that was for. And so I think that there is a difference between freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and this whole concept of personal responsibility has gotten lost by the wayside. We are allowing people to say whatever they want with absolutely no, it's like, it's my opinion. Yes, of course, it's your opinion. And if people hate you for it, hello, you said it. Like, you've got to own it. You've got to stand by your word. And I think that as a society, especially as a country, we have really lost that whole idea of personal responsibility and being a stand-up person. And you can stand up for what you believe. And I am apolitical. There's no party for me. I'm fiscally conservative. I'm socially progressive. I think my gay friend should get married. I think a woman should have a right to choose. And I think that we should balance our budget. And apparently, nobody else thinks that way.
Oh, yes, we do.
There's no party that says that. So I'm not political. I vote for each person individually. But what I really care about is entrepreneurs, and I really care about business, because I tell you, that is what is going to save the world. We have to get away from where we're going, and we've got to protect those business owners. And one of those ways is through, like, can I get a little political?
It depends.
We're on live, and
we're live right now. So
I own my words. But I won't. But I was just going to say, I think that if you believe in something and you're passionate about something, then you should stand up for it. And I know people that are passionate about anti-Monsanto. I'm one of those people. And they speak out about aspartame dangers and the fact that it's hidden in everything. And and there are people who have done medical research and cured cancer who have vanished.
Right. Oh, yes. I've been reading about that. Absolutely.
Whoa.
Yeah. Very scary. Very scary. Sheila, what do you think about freedom of expression?
I believe everything that's been said up to this point, I have some agreement with a lot of it. And I also agree with Cheryl that we need to take responsibility for with freedom of expression does come responsibility. And I say that because even though we're talking freedom of expression and able, saying that we can do and say what we want, we need to also think about others, and common sense needs to be a part of that. Sometimes I think that we don't have common sense in the world anymore. But we have to, I think number one is think about others and who might get upset. And I'm one that believes that, that no man should be able to tell us that, hey, you can't do this. Mm-hmm. But we also have to take responsibility ourselves and know how to use that freedom of expression ourselves.
I totally agree with that. And a word that has come across the board is being in your integrity.
Yes.
What I have seen is the dissolving of values And I'm always standing up with it starts in the home. Teach your children values, being kind. What I'm seeing, also, you know, I love what you were just sharing, and that what happened to being kind to one another, humanity.
Right.
Yes, we do have that freedom to express our viewpoint, but being mindful of where this is going. And now, as we've got so many devices, and you can, like I've got my iPhone here, if I wanted to put Periscope on, I could be, you know, shooting off something, and we just recently had a celebrity who got caught doing something very silly and saying something very damaging. And I'm not going to go there because I think everyone knows, but I think people back that how quickly, and you know when you say something like put it back in. I didn't mean to say that. I don't know. But there again, being mindful, and I thank you all for your viewpoint, because that is what I received from you is to be in our integrity.
Right.
That we do have that freedom.
And Nancy, I want to let our viewers know, we have viewers that are watching right now. There is a place for you to actually write in the chat right below this, what does freedom of expression mean to you, and what's holding you back? So you can participate in this. We can't see it right this minute. We'll go back and look at it and respond, but please do participate in this. And as we get ready to go into the next part of this question in terms of what's holding you back, okay, wait. Adrian, I'll go back to you in a second, but I want everyone to be able to introduce themselves as well and their website so that people know how to get in touch with you and how to reach out to you. So, Adrian, go. Yes.
So what I was going to say is a personal responsibility thing. I have an ethical standard that seems to solve all of these problems. And if anybody you feel free to steal this ethical standard. I don't do anything that I would not be comfortable having plastered on the cover of the National Enquirer at the supermarket checkout line while I'm standing there with my mother and my child.
I love that.
Right?
Adrian, I'm going to have you quote that. We're going to put that into the blog post. We're going to take quotes from everyone, by the way, so that's awesome.
That's a tweetable.
It's pretty easy. It makes it very discernible. Is this something to do or something not to do? Because we live in a society that has 24/7 recording devices on everywhere. Every spoken word, every facial expression, every thought that crosses your mind crosses your face. So we know what you're thinking. There's no hiding. Right? So decide, pick a side. What side are you going to be on, right? And then just be it and live from the heart and be that person.
So Adrian, go ahead and introduce yourself and who your company is, what you do, and then what's holding you back.
Oh, what's holding me back? Oh, okay.
That's a good thing.
Getting personal here. Okay, so I'm Adryenn Ashley. I'm the CEO and founder of Crowded Reality, the world's first crowdfunding platform for reality TV and talk shows. And I invented the platform to basically scratch my own itch. I was banging my head against the studio and network walls, and they weren't understanding, and they didn't get social. They thought they got social, but they don't get social, and they didn't understand me at all. And so I spent a year trying to do that, and then I finally just gave in and said, you know what, I'm going to make my own platform that gives content creators the ability to prove they have fans, they have an audience, and take that audience to advertisers and sponsors who then give them money to make the show. Then they take it to the networks and the studios in a position of power and license it and keep creative control. So that's what I'm doing right now. And
so what's holding you back?
What's holding me back? Time in a day. I don't have a secretary. I need one. Staffing. So we bootstrapped. We've already brought in $200,000 in 6 months. We actually took our first show from idea to on the air on national broadcast in 4 months. So that was coming up with the idea, designing it, pitching it, raising over $100,000, producing it, and getting it on the air. So it worked. But we're reinvesting everything. So we are looking for investment, and I'm so not good at asking for money like that.
Yeah, I know that's hard. That's really hard. Rick,
it's a hard thing.
It is hard. It's hard to ask for money. regardless of whether you're a man or a woman. We're getting some feedback, guys, so if you're not talking, please mute yourself. Rick, tell us what your website is, what you do, and what's holding you back.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I wanted you to introduce yourself and let us know what's holding you back.
Okay, yeah, we got a lot of echo right now.
Right.
Okay, my name is Rick Tompkins. I'm an independent blogger, and I think what's holding me back is kind of time back into the freedom of expression is being afraid of saying what I feel and what I need, and maybe it's the male side. You know, it's difficult for us to express ourselves sometimes, and no, just kind of dealing with that. You know, the feelings, the emotions, the sharing.
Well, I want to give you a shout out, Rick, because I know about probably almost a year ago, you and I actually had a meeting online, a virtual meeting, and we did a blog post together. And
Right.
Since then, you have launched your Rick Tompkins blog. I'm going to go ahead and talk so people can see your where they can go read your blog.
Okay, yeah. So it's ricktompkins.blogspot.com, and I try and blog every day, and it's called Random Musings. It's just whatever pops into my mind. Sometimes it's business stuff. Sometimes it's today was freedom of expression. So about midnight, I couldn't sleep, so I had to get on and talk about it. What was on my mind.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that, and I appreciate people being so vulnerable and sharing what's holding them back. I'm going to move over to Sheila. Hold on, I'm going to unmute you here. You need to unmute yourself, Miss Sheila. Okay, we'll come back to you because I need you to. Oh, there you go. So Sheila, why don't you introduce yourself and where people can get to know you a little better and answer the question, what's holding you back?
Okay. My name is, of course, Sheila Edens Brown. I am a virtual assistant, so basically what I do is I work with my clients doing their VA work, social media manager, WordPress, blogging, all those nice things that come with being a virtual secretary.
What's your website? How can they get in touch with you?
My site is virtual, VIRTUAL admin, ADMIN, professionals with the S.com, virtual adminprofessionals.net.
So .net or .com?
I'm sorry, it should be .net.
Okay, perfect. So what's holding you back?
What's holding me back basically is more of wanting to be sure that I don't offend anyone, or that I do and say the right thing, which I think can hurt us, because most of the stuff that needs to get said doesn't get said. So that's something I am working on, is that knowing how to use the responsibility and the common sense that I talked about. So I'm holding myself back, really.
Love that. Love that. Thank you so much, Sheila, for, and I'm going to have Cheryl unmute herself right now. There you go. Okay. And I'm going to ask Cheryl the same question. Why don't you introduce yourself and what you do, because it's really fascinating what you do and the amount of people that you help. What's holding you back? And first, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Calhoun, and I am the CEO founder of the Fempreneur Network. And my web link is www.thefempreneurnetwork.net. And what I do essentially is help women get 21st century skills so that they can compete in today's marketplace. And then also, I'm a business connector, so I help to connect resources globally to women who are looking for those resources. And I myself am always looking to be introduced to people who do things that I'm not aware of, so that I can help my clients know more about them.
So you guys should be talking to each other. I already making some. There's a word in a Hebrew word, a shidduch, a connection. So I want to make a shidduch right now between Adrian and Sheila and Cheryl and Adrian and Rick and Adrian. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. So Cheryl, what's holding you back? What's holding you back?
You know, systems, I think, really, right now. I'm really working on trying to get the right systems in place so that I work a little more flawlessly. I find that that's really probably my biggest challenge right now.
All right, okay. And Nancy, I know that you wanted to speak about an interview that you did, a snippet with somebody that I know we all know who she is, but so I'm going to throw it over to you.
Yeah. One comment that came to mind, and I'm just there again, once again, loving what all of you are sharing, is about the fear of saying what's on your mind or what you want to express. Is that I have found that it's within our approach with the word grace and reverence that much can be accomplished and received by the other person. If it's something that could create a conflict, I've found that, especially if it's something that gives you a rise, someone that get an attack coming out of nowhere, and I've learned to just sit back with that and then say, you know what, I want to share my point of view, and being very calm about it. And it's been fascinating to see how that's been more received. So back to my one-on-one with Marianne Williamson, what an honor that was, along with Jean Houston, who really speaks her mind about what's going on with our global shift and how they're again very much using our voice. But Marianne was very passionate about talking about women and the fact that we have come so far, and there have been so many women, pioneers, trailblazers, and now we're going back, centuries, that were burned at the stake for speaking their mind. And she goes, in spite of all that, and here we are in 2015, there's still women who are afraid. They have those the bondage, the invisible bondage, that what are they going to think? And she said, break those bonds, because more than likely what you're going to say is what they're thinking, and it's time to step up to the plate. And there again, like we said, with integrity, with grace, with responsibility. I love that, Cheryl, what you put out in the beginning, that this is your platform, this is what you stand for. And I know, with being now a quote-unquote public figure, what I say, I am very mindful of being in my integrity. And Caren and I joke a lot about R&D, rob and duplicate, because you're going to get like Oprah says, a tweetable. Someone's going to say that. I go, I'm not going to use it, but I'm going to put it in the context that Caren said this, and gosh, I love it, and I want you to hear it. So it's being really in that space of honoring one another, but yet being grounded in your truth. And when it's your truth, that's how it's going to be received.
Absolutely.
That was a powerful conversation with her, and she's putting her foot into the political arena. She did. She's backed off a little bit, but she will continue to bring forth a higher consciousness of who we are, what we stand for, and she's a trailblazer.
And I really think that everybody here is a trailblazer. Everyone is stepping into their power, and everyone is stepping into their ability to be more visible and to get their message out there, which is why this question is so important, is that we want to get our message out, but we have to be mindful. We have to be responsible. We have to come to it in a position of integrity. I mean, those words are so, so, so important. Adrian, I can see your hands up. Go.
Not exactly.
Not exactly. Okay.
Not exactly. Here's why. There are people who are making comments that are polarizing. Okay? And we live in a melting pot. We live in America, but we are not all expected to be the same. We can't possibly all be the same. And that's a piece of this whole freedom that we have in America that is being lost. Okay? I have my own personal belief systems around a lot of things. Do I expect other people to share them? No. On my Facebook fan page, I will post something, and I have every walk of life, every political leaning, every possible perspective. And my friends will let me know if I've gone too far, definitely. But they also, we engage in discourse, and we have conversation, and we have respectful debate, and we bring to bear different perspectives on the same issues that maybe we wouldn't have known. And if we just settle for this political correctness, we're going to lose a lot. We're going to lose art. Right now there's an art installation in Chicago that's of the Michael Brown killing, and the police are going apeshit, but the black community is like, finally somebody's saying something. And art has typically been the only way that we've been able to have that freedom of expression in such a free way where it's art and I'm allowed to make that statement. But in real life, we're not allowed to say things. Like, I am not religious. I am pro-gay marriage. And yet, I don't think a baker should have to bake a cake if that violates their belief system. What is the problem with that? I don't see that as discrimination. If they just ordered the cake, that would be one thing, right? But right. That's not what happened, okay? They actually released their address. That's why they got the fine. But that's not what makes the media. What makes the media is there to churn and keep people angry and not talking, and that's not what it's for. It's to find your tribe, find your niche, find your people, and inspire them to their greatness. If you're just like everybody else and you're just so vanilla, you're never going to inspire people. So who are you at your core? If you offend people, you're going to offend people. Don't purposely be mean. Don't attack people, but stand in who you are and be proud of that and be brilliant. That will attract your people.
Wow. And I see that was. And I see they have a new, no, Adrian, I don't know if you saw, everyone was nodding their head down on the tray down here because it's so important what you're saying. Yeah, and we have a latecomer, Nancy, you see we have Belle Kohen on. Hi, Belle, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing well, thanks.
Well, so you're late to the party, but we're going to ask you a question so that you can just kind of jump in. The question was, what does freedom of expression mean to you, and what's holding you back? So first, introduce yourself, Belle Kohen. I just did, but introduce yourself and somewhere that people can get in touch with you, and then please answer those two questions as we continue on our discussion.
Okay, hi everybody. I was actually watching the show rather than being a participant, so I'm not late to the party.
Oh, cool.
I was in the wrong place. But anyway, so my whole thing is about helping women to understand and realize that you're never too late to unleash your bold. It's never too late. So my website is coachbelle.com, and it's BELLE.com. And I did listen. And when we talk about freedom of speech, the beauty of all of this, whether there's the negativity, the positivity, what I really am thankful for is a platform that I've created that is radio, television, and a magazine. And being able to get a message out to so many women globally to let them know, and men too, Rich, I'm keeping you in the loop here, that it's so important and so wonderful to be able to globally share a message through media. And I hear what you're saying, Adrian, that, there's so much politics, and I also try to stay away from that because I'm apolitical. I'm either, I just believe that everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and it's okay to listen to other people's opinions, and you don't have to share them. But I'm really thankful for the piece that we all are entitled to and able to be on the internet, be writing books, and, there's many countries in this world where that's just not an opportunity that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, I am thrilled to be here, and I just believe strongly that we all do have a message.
So what's holding you back? What's holding you back?
Oh, I would say the only thing that's holding me back at this point is that I'm new and I'm mighty. So the important part is finding people who are willing to advertise and to help me monetarily to take my platform to the next level. And so those are things that, it's part of the learning curve and part of the process. So I'm very thrilled and very happy with where I am today, and being on air with all of you is definitely an honor. And so I guess the piece that is missing is getting that message out globally and sharing it on a stage and on the internet and everywhere. So I'm not sure that it's holding me back. I think that I'm just working on it now.
I think, Nancy, you would agree, and I'm sure that the rest of our panel here would agree that sometimes what's holding us back is also what motivates us to take that next step and to step into that failure. A friend of mine, Andrea Waltz, who wrote the book Go for No. It's one of my favorite sales books ever. It's like 72 pages. It's a story. And basically, she and her husband talked about just that failure is not a bad thing. You're simply failing your way to success. You've got people that say no over here, and you got people that will say yes over here to your offer, and somewhere in between you're failing constantly until you get over there. I don't know how you guys feel about it, and some of you are muted, so you can go ahead and unmute yourself except when you're not talking. And how do you feel about that, Cheryl?
Well, in response to that, I think that it's a process of life. I think that we all learn through a trial and error, and certainly we're always looking for solutions. That really should be what, when we go through these things, we should be looking for what is the solution here instead of woe is me, my world is crashing down on me. I mean, I know we're all human and we feel things, but there's always a solution if we just take the time to work through it. I am a big believer. I want to make a quick comment in regards to what we were talking about just a moment ago, and Adrian, I love that. I love what you said. I think that we all build communities based on who gravitates to us, based on who we are and what we believe, and I think that's a beautiful thing. I wish all politicians would say really what's in their heart and not really what they think other people need to hear in order to get the money to fund their campaigns or get into office, because I would really like to vote for people who I really feel like they are on the same page as me. You know what I'm saying? So when we, with women, I think that they need to speak their truth and be authentic about it and take, responsibility again for the repercussions of it. But in that, I think you find community. You find people who are wanting to, connect with you, and I think that's wonderful. And I hate the idea that the women who have fought so hard over the years to bring forth women, to bring them forward in the right to vote and through life, I think it's a tragic thing that we would take that for granted, and that we would that bothers me about women not stepping forward and speaking, being afraid to speak, because gosh, we've worked so hard and women have gone through so much to get to this point. So that's just my thought on that.
Well, you're right there with Marianne. That is what I was saying. And together we can do so much, even more. And
Yeah.
that's the community part of it, which I love.
Well, it was interesting. It was interesting, guys, that whoops, we've got some echoing in here. I'm going to mute you. Okay, I'm muting people that you can't. Cheryl, I'm going to ask you to mute yourself. Thank you. You see what happens, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, the noise is bouncing off the computer. It's interesting, Cheryl, you said something about you want to be able to believe your politicians, that they would speak from their heart, and that way you would know, like, and trust them. And where have we heard those words before when we are out in the business world, that people are not going to do business with people they do not know, like, and trust? And why does that not apply to the politicians in our world? Interesting question, very interesting question. If anyone has some last thoughts that they want to put out there, and you've muted yourself, obviously unmute yourself and say those thoughts, and then we're going to wrap this whole thing up. But before we do that, I just want to thank everyone. Wow, there's some really interesting opinions that have come out in this talk, and I want to thank you for being so open about what you believe. It's really, really important. So any last thoughts? Go ahead and unmute yourself or whatever and chat.
So I have a last thought about, we've been talking about fear and that feeling, and a couple of things. One, we just did this on our first show on Wake Up. We talked about fear, and it's kind of like, acknowledge it and take it along with you. But there's another piece of this, which is a chemistry lesson, a chemical physiological lesson. Fear is a chemical reaction in your body. And if you simply breathe, acknowledge, oh, I'm feeling fear, and then just let it wash through you, it will only take 60 seconds to go away. The minute that you latch onto it and like become it, it stays, because you haven't let it go. You have to let the chemical process finish, and it stays with you until you do that. But you can get over it in 60 seconds, and then you can be practical and go, okay, how do I want to respond? That's the other piece. Respond instead of react. Look at that logically and think about, what do I need out of this situation? You know, not what do I want to say in the heat of the moment, in the anger, and, you know, am I going to speak my truth in such a way that's so brutal that I'm never going to be able to recover this relationship with this person, because maybe that's what I'm feeling right at this second, but maybe that's not what I'm going to be feeling 10 minutes from now, and I'm going to regret it. It's really hard to take words back. So making sure that you let that fear go, let that anger go before you respond is a really difficult piece, but it's so, so essential. In business, in life, in personal relationships, it will take you farther than any other skill you will ever learn in your entire life. I am living proof, I promise you.
Yes.
That's my final words.
Yeah. Sheila, I'm going to unmute you, and any last thoughts? Hold on, I'm unmuting you. Can you unmute yourself? Oh, there you go. So Sheila, any last thoughts?
Well, what I'm taking away from myself is really from this is that we need to be true to ourselves. And also know that a no is closer to the yes, which means that we will flow. It may take a moment, but we will flow. Just be true to ourselves.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. Rick, any last thoughts? You got to unmute yourself. Hold on.
Okay, I agree with what Sheila just said. I mean, you got to be true to yourself. You got to express yourself. But then again, like Cheryl was saying and the others are saying, you got to take responsibility for what you say.
Absolutely. And Belle, any last thoughts? I'm going to unmute you. Hold on. I'm unmuting you. Or maybe you need to unmute yourself. Can you? Uh-oh. No. Okay, Belle, I'm going to come back to you in a second. Nancy, why don't you take this out, and I'm going to try to unmute Belle here.
Sure. First of all, I want to thank everyone who joined us here. A lively conversation, and this is the perfect example that we have this opportunity in our country to hang out, get together, share our viewpoints, whether we agree or disagree. That's up to us. We have the power of choice, and there again, we are definitely on the same page about fear. And there was a saying, someone said, feel the fear and do it anyway. And as I said before too, is just step back, take stock. What am I feeling here? Caren has seen some reactions from me when something would be popping up on my phone, like, you've got to be kidding. But I had the reaction with her, but I didn't act on it to the person where it's coming from. I assessed it. So there again, for me, it's all about values and being true, and that's what I call being connected with your heart and soul.
Absolutely.
That's the truth of who you are.
And it's so true. And again, so we want to thank everyone. We're doing these once a month, guys. And we want to remind you that Nancy and I are on every Thursday at 9 a.m. with Connecting People, Changing Lives, where we interview the most amazing people who are making a difference in what they're doing in their world. And I hope you'll tune into that. Our viewers, we hope you'll tune in as well. And make sure you put your comments down below so that we can respond to you. Thank you, everyone. We know that you have a choice as to how you spend your time. Thank you for spending it with us. Goodbye, everyone.